So the next item on our list, we are going to have a presentation on the cover letter. That will be done by me. Allow me to share my slide. So thank you so much, everyone. Once again, apologies for the delay and the challenges, the interconnection that I had. So my role today is to make a presentation on how to craft a winning cover letter. First, I'd like to welcome everybody to IIT. IIT is a company that deals in training, both retail and corporate, and we've been in the trade for 34 years. We are in Nairobi, Buruburu, and Mombasa. We're going to be sharing the specific locations as we proceed. So the essence of making the presentation on cover letters is that while we train people on a couple of skills, we have the short courses, we have the long courses, we have the certifications. We expect you to go to the job market. And the way you introduce yourself to the job market is via cover letter, where you actually apply for a job, or you just want to introduce yourself to people who would want to hire in the future. So we are saying that a cover letter is very, very important because it's actually the first opening, is the first view, is the first feeling, is the first personalization of you to the would-be employers out there. So we're saying that over 90% of all the cover letters that are actually done are either bad, average, or poor. In that sense, we are saying that they actually don't meet what we are supposed to, how they're supposed to be written, which means that over 90% of all the people who write cover letters are not able to actually get opportunities. Not that their CVs were poor or they didn't have the skills, or they were not appealing enough to the hiring managers. Remember, we have hundreds or thousands of people applying for one particular post that is advertised. Therefore, for you to be the person who is going to shine as opposed to the others, you really have to have something in terms of a cover letter that is very, very appealing to the hiring persons. So the cover letter helps you to personalize yourself, to stand out from the crowd, so that you're able actually to move on to the next stage, because the cover letter should actually be so exciting to the hiring person, the hiring manager, the human resource manager, that this person wants to proceed to view your CV. And once they view your CV, that's how you're able to, they're able to shortlist you so that they can invite you for an interview. Therefore, we want all the people who train with IIT to not just, because we know IIT, we've done this for 34 years and we offer quality skills. In terms of the trainings that we have, in terms of imparting knowledge. We don't want you to, as a graduate of IIT, to miss out when you go to the job market as a result of you not being able to write a good cover letter, as a result of you not being able to write a good CV, as a result of you not being able to prepare well for the interview. So if we package you well as IIT, we expect you to also not have challenges when you go out to the job market. And that's the essence of this presentation. So having said that, what exactly is a cover letter? And as you can see, there are a lot of new graduates, but the jobs, you can see they fall off as a result of all these issues I've been talking about in terms of a poor cover letter, a poor CV, not preparing well. Yet they all have skills because they're graduates, but as you can see, getting to the jobs is a big challenge because of lack of this preparation. So we're saying that a cover letter is a document that you submit as part of your job application alongside your resume or CV. We're saying it's a document that you submit. So is it just any other document? Is there a way it's supposed to be formatted? Is there a way it's supposed to be structured? What makes your cover letter different from the other people so that you're the one who is going to be chosen to be actually shortlisted for an interview? So this is the essence of our discussion today. So we're saying that it's not just a standalone document as the application letter. And the purpose of a cover letter is to introduce you and briefly summarize your professional background. Remember, the CVs may be a bit similar between one or another candidate, because you would expect it to have probably an introduction to show your education, background, your work experience. It will have referees, which are just standard ways of doing things globally. But then it's very hard for two people to write the same cover letter because they don't think exactly the same. I mean, even twins have different fingerprints. So the cover letter is where you're able to distinguish yourself from anybody else, because you're able to personalize yourself. You're able to bring out what's unique about you. You're able to have a different way of viewing you as opposed to the general crowd where we have everybody writing probably the same thing in a CV or having the same qualification. So we're saying that a good cover letter is supposed to impress the hiring manager, recruiting officer, or the headhunter, and convince them you're the best candidate for the role that has been advertised. So you can clearly see that if the hiring manager is not pleased from the word go, then they may not even go and view your CV. And if they don't view your CV, you end up in the shredding bin in terms of the qualifications that are not actually going to move to the next level. And this is what we don't want any IT graduate to actually come across or face. So when should you write a cover letter? So we're saying that you should always include a cover letter in a job application, even if the hiring manager never reads it. Submitting a cover letter is as important as submitting a resume if you want to look like a serious candidate. Of course, in later presentations, we're going to look at the differences between a cover letter and a resume, but for this case, we are going to concentrate on the cover letter. So we're saying that if the employer requests a cover letter as part of the screening process, not sending one is a huge red flag, and will probably get your application tossed into the no pile immediately. Remember, nowadays, as a result of the technology improvement in hiring, not all applications actually go at faced by human being the first time. Nowadays, we have what we refer to as the application tracking kind of machines. So they have the bare minimum that they require. If a cover letter is supposed to be 1 page and you write 2 pages, for instance, you're going to have a problem. If the cover letter does not capture some particular items like address, you're going to have a problem. So the no pile that we're talking about here does not need to be the physical one that used to be way back. The machine alone will reject you, and by the time they go to look at the few people the machine has selected, that is the automatic, the application sorting out machine is going to have a problem, or the software that is going to be at hand. So saying that on the other hand, if the job advertisement does not require a cover letter from the candidates, adding one shows you went an extra mile. Remember, you're trying to separate yourself from the crowd. Let's imagine a position that needs to be filled by one person, yet there are 2,500 applicants. I mean, it's so hard for the hiring person to just make a blanket assumption of all of them. So they'll start what we say like sorting out people based on items that can disqualify them. So for instance, you can have one criteria that anybody who does not have a cover letter, don't proceed to the CV. So in the event that you don't have a cover letter, automatically you're going to be left out. So putting in the effort to write a cover letter can set you apart from other candidates with similar professional experience and skills. And it could even sway the hiring manager to call you for an interview if you do it right. That is very, very true. You'll find everybody with a degree, everybody probably with a diploma, everybody probably with a CCNA, everybody with a computer, but you see, those are raw skills and you may even be better than the candidates you are competing with. But then your way of presenting yourself is actually very, very important. In a previous presentation, during a past career fair, we looked at the grooming process. So while at this point, I would look at it like you're grooming yourself in terms of the application. While in the actual grooming, the physical one is where you go to the actual interview and you're going to look, you need to be groomed. So along, from the list of the candidates who come up for the interview alone, you can be able to see somebody who has grooming problems, and that alone could be a point of distinguishing one candidate from another. The same case with a cover letter. So a cover letter that is written well, that has all what is required, helps you to stand out from the other people that are actually being considered. So how can your cover letter achieve this? What we are talking about, helping you to stand out. You're saying that first of all, it should complement your resume and not copy it. You know, the cover letter is your chance to elaborate on important achievements, skills, or anything else that your resume does not give you the space to cover. So, for example, if you have an employment gap on your resume, the cover letter is a great place to explain why it happened and how it helped you to grow as a person. That's why we're saying you might find other people don't have employment gaps, but you have. So why is this? And you're able to actually explain that, why you're the best candidate and why you should not be disadvantaged based on probably other points that exist on you. So now let's proceed to look at the actual cover letter. What should be in the first paragraph? We're going to look at a practical cover letter later on, but let's go now into the formatting bits of it. And we're saying that in the first paragraph, you're supposed to introduce yourself and tell the employer why you are applying for the job. You know, you can include your excitement of applying for the job and how it aligns with your career goals. I mean, it should be eye-catching. It should not be boring to somebody. When you read things that are so common that everybody feels is just the standard one that we're used to. But when you have something catchy, based on the research that you've done of the company from their website, articles you've read, and something which is out of the normal, then you stand out as a good candidate. So in the first paragraph, you should ensure that you actually bring out an eye-catching element to the cover letter that is not the common one. Then we have the middle paragraph where you're saying that you dig into your relevant experience. In other words, how does the job that is advertised, how do you fit in? How does that job actually match with your skills? And then that in that sense that you're the best candidate. How is it? By showing that you have the relevant experience. So talk about the specific skills and qualifications that make you the perfect candidate. You make connections between your previous accomplishments and do not repeat the bullet points of your CV. In other words, let not the cover letter play the role of the CV because the CV is there. Remember, we were saying that the cover letter is supposed to be as brief as possible. At least 1 page, 3 to 4 paragraphs, just in brief, so that they're very eye-catching. And also remember, if you create a very long cover letter, it shows that you have a problem in being able to summarize your issues as well as present your issues in a concise way, in a brief and concise way. You don't want to ask somebody a question and they answer a question for so long until you get bored. The same case with a cover letter. I mean, I have your CV, I understand what you need to, what you have done, where you have been and all that. But in brief, tell me why I need to consider you and not all other people that are actually in the queue. Then we have the third paragraph, which also is the last one. You're saying that remember to thank the employer, make clarification, for instance, if there is any major gaps in your employment history, include a call to action. You see, that's one point that a lot of candidates forget. Why were you writing? So what do you want me to do with your documents now that you've sent them to me, or to the hiring manager? So what do you want me to do with it, So you need to show that you really be very happy to be invited for an interview or to be shortlisted to come for an interview, and you're available probably on all platforms. You're ready for a physical interview or on the online platforms that we have, like the one that we are using today. So the call to action is in fact, the first bit is introduce yourself. The second paragraph we said is whereby you show your skills and why you may be the best candidate, because again, you're employing somebody to come and work, so you need skills. Then lastly is call to action, and that is very, very, very important. Then of course, you need to provide a complimentary clause and a signature that is friendly and formal. So we need to understand in this last bit of closing, when you write a letter where you don't know the person who is going to be the hiring person in terms of a name, whereby you use the dear sir, in that case, the salutation down there, you actually say yours faithfully. But whereby you understand somebody is either Alex or Eunice, you can say dear Eunice, therefore you need to close it as yours. I said when you close yours as when you don't know the name of the person, use yours faithfully, But where you actually know the name of the person, you can use other things like concisely and the like. But we're going to be seeing the examples that you can actually be able to look at. Yes. So now I'll go to the actual letter shortly, but for now let me be able to finalize this bit and how to send the letter. There's always this question that is always asked, like, should I attach my cover letter to the body of the email that I'm sending, assuming I'm sending it online? And there's always an agreement that you see when somebody opens an email, the first thing they find is your letter. So there's a common agreement that we need to attach the letter to the body of the email and have the CV attached. If you need to attach the cover letter, so be it, but at least it needs to be in the body, not give the hiring person so much trouble to go and search for it. So if you're going to use an envelope, of course, you close it together with the CV, with the cover letter being on top. And there you're able to copy, you're talking about, I think I talked about this bit of using the email, and therefore that is very, very important, whereby you have the re means refer. This is the issues that you're actually talking about, like, for instance, application for a business administrator position. Then remember to attach your CV, because that's something else that a lot of people forget. Now, there are some key points that you need to be aware about a cover letter. Whereby you have dear hiring manager, at least you need to research a little bit. If you go to professional platforms like LinkedIn, if I want to know the hiring manager of something like Unilever or East African Breweries or Equity Bank or whatever company you're looking at least it's not hard to find. This data, some of it is readily available. But where it is non-existent, you can use dear sir stroke, madam. But where it exists and is publicly available, it looks a bit, showing an element of lack of concern or research when you don't include that yet it's readily available. People like to be addressed in a personal way, where you use their names, and that way it gives you an extra mile on it. Quantify your achievement using metrics, at least percentages. Like for instance, 96% of what you may be explaining, because the others look like it was better, I was the best of what, to what extent, you know. You also don't need to highlight what is already in the CV. You need to complement it by personalizing it, you know. They're saying that at least you should make a cover letter of 1 page, 3 to 4 paragraphs are enough to do that. It goes along with your CV, that's very true. And it should be readable in 10 seconds. So research has shown that the average hiring person looks at your cover letter just for 10 seconds. If they're not convinced, they move to the next. So you can ask yourself, if you just count 10 seconds, what is it that I'm going to say that will make somebody actually be excited to proceed to my CV? Because if they're not excited, or if they're bored from the first 10 seconds, then they don't proceed to the next. Then of course you're saying, remember to thank the employer. Also, being involving in this work of recruiting can be involving, so therefore thank them at least for the opportunity of even reading your cover letter and the like. So in case of a major gap where it comes to employment history, use the cover letter. So thank you so much for that. So I can proceed to share a cover letter, an example of a cover letter that is based on what we are talking about. This is a cover letter of an imaginary person known as Eunice Mwatha, who has a postal address. Who has a postal address. It also has a date, and it's addressed to a human resource manager of Kalimoni Chemicals Limited in Mombasa with the postal address. Here we have Dear Sir, Madam, and it's an application for the position. We are saying we insert the position and the reference number if there is one. And we're saying that I would like to apply for the above position, and having read the job advert and job description, I believe I possess the right qualities and skills to carry out a role to a high standard. I'm positive, enthusiastic, and self-motivated person who understands the importance of customer service in a role of this nature. This is, for instance, an example of a role that could be in customer service. I believe the life experiences I have gained so far would enable me to deal with your customers in a positive manner, in line with the expectations of this role, and also as per the code of conduct required by the organization. Of course, every company, we expect it to have a policy. So you need to show that commitment, that not only are you saying that on a personal level you improve to fit the company, but you're also willing to go by the code of conduct of the company. The key skills, qualities, and attributes I have that I feel will be beneficial to this role include: the first one is a reliable, trustworthy, and flexible approach to all tasks. That shows you are open. You're not a difficult person who is be rigid whenever instructions are given. Being able to maintain a genuine and then a happy, a positive demeanor while at work. You know, I think that there was a small bit, and I was leaving it intentionally to show that you don't need to leave typing errors or grammatical errors in your document. So the way you're seeing them appearing funny when they come up is the same way a hiring person will feel. So if you put a capital letter in between a sentence and it doesn't have a full stop on the other end, it shows an element of disorganization that somebody needs to watch against. I've seen the one for the skill that it was left out. It will not make sense if it doesn't have the K. The H capitals in between letters, they bring confusion, and they show that you're disorganized, and you are not keen to detail, because you need to have gone through your letter before you actually submit it. Then an understanding of how important customer service is within the role. Yeah, of course, because you see customer service, if a role is customer service and you understand how important it is, what serving customers means into revenues of a company, that is very, very critical. Then able to communicate professionally with all customers and clients, and ability to work under pressure and complete all tasks in line with the job description. If I'm successful in the application, I believe you'll be impressed with my positive attitude to work, my ability to deliver excellent services, and also my ability to learn the role quickly. So yours faithfully, you insert your name, your telephone number, and your email address. This is a brief example of a cover letter that can, of course, there are many versions. If you look again here at this word position, it's something that people may not want to look at quickly. but you can read quickly it's a position, but that word again is not spelled right. So if you find like the I is supposed to be there. Therefore, again, you may ignore like reading them like they're okay, but again, you'll find that when they go to the other end, especially when they are printed or even in soft copy, they don't show you to be a serious candidate. So these are just examples of showing that we need to actually be careful with how we write them and how we express them. So I pray that any graduate of IIT should be able to write a good cover letter, and we are going to be seeing shortly a CV and how to prepare for the interview, so that after we train them so well, they don't go out there and they have challenges in being able to be absorbed in the job market. So thank you so much for your time, and I welcome any question from anybody who may have one. Thank you, and back, and I welcome any question. Okay, I'll assume the silence means that we don't have any questions, so I'll invite Samson from Buruburu next to do a presentation on how to write an award-winning CV to help our candidates also be able to craft, to show the skills they have learned and their academics and their work experience together, so that they're not disadvantaged out there in the job market.